Greetings of the hour, and at the very onset, I would like to thank the organizing team of International Conference on Economics of Happiness and Welfare for providing us this platform to present our paper in this international conference. This paper has been worked by me and my co-author, Mr. Basil and Baby, and the topic of our study is happiness or success, what comes first? And this has been a very interesting deliberation on what exactly comes first, whether it's happiness or success. Because many people say that happiness is experienced when you're successful, and others say that when you experience happiness, you're likely to be more successful. So happiness is not a determinant, or success is a determinant of happiness. So we had deliberations. So this study is basically based on secondary data sources, and where we are trying to examine what exactly comes first, whether it's happiness or success. So let's begin with what is happiness. So here I've quoted up one very famous quote by Steve Maraboli, who rightly says that happiness is a state of mind, a choice, a way of living, and it is not something to be achieved, it is something to be experienced. Something to be experienced, something to be felt, something which is very, very subjective and would be different for different people. So different people are going to experience happiness and will be perceiving happiness differently. Again, there is a model which is being proposed by Lomborski et al., and that's the 40% solution, which talks about what exactly is happiness for us and how do we experience it. They describe it to be comprising of in for experiencing 100% happiness, it has been divided up into three sectors, 50% of which is a set point, which is quite genetical. And this is a limit to which you about which you really cannot work. So this 50% is not in your hands. This 50% is something which is being decided by the genes. Then what is it that makes some people to experience happiness more as compared to others? That is what comes up in the remaining 50%, of which 10% is attributed to circumstances. That means in which circumstances are you, that is going to determine your happiness level. And the rest 40%, which is the intentional activity, a very broad zone which is there to make up a difference of the way we experience happiness, it all depends on what you're doing. So what makes sense to you, whether you are really involved in two activities like giving, or how you're creating a meaning, how you are sensing happiness, that depends onto this 40% of intentional activity area. Again, what is success? It's a very comprehensive term and has been described differently by different people in different contexts. So, in a book by Bostock in 2014, there is a quotation which states, it's given by Linda King, stating that success is measured in many ways, the most important of which is how you feel about yourself. So, how you really feel about yourself is what is going to define success for you. Again, the aspect here is feeling. So, a subjective aspect. So, those feelings are certainly going to depend on what we have accomplished and what is still remaining as a need. So, what is unaccomplished, what is yet to be accomplished, and what we have. So, these feelings are going to determine our understanding or perceptions about success. John in 2009 in his TED talk also explains that success is a continuous journey. So it is not about I have accomplished and I will be successful and then I stop working. So again, that is going to make you again fall down to failures. Rather, success is a journey, and it's not about the end result, but what you are doing and how you are doing it throughout your process of accomplishing those targets and then setting up of new and then moving towards it. So it's a continuous journey. It is not an end in itself. It's not about the end results, but the journey. And these journeys of accomplishments, the way you are moving ahead to accomplish your goals, to determine what is being successful for you or not, has been described very well in several theories of motivation. And some of the famous ones I've stated there in the slide. as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, ERG theory, Hertzberg two-factor theory, and many more. So it's a subjective concern. Success can be seen differently by different people. How the collectivists are perceiving it will differ from how the individualistics are perceiving it. What your social environment is like, what's your culture, and how you have been socialized, how you're socializing with the people is all going to determine your notion of perceived success. In this understanding of what determines success, there's a study which was done in 2014, and broadly speaking, there are two factors associated with the way we are perceiving success in our lives as meritocratic dimension and family and friends dimension. So, in their study, they have found that ambition is something which is highly associated with success. So, people who are very ambitious are likely to experience more success as compared to those with low ambition. The least concern is with the contact with people having political influence. So, it's rarely, barely connected with the way we are succeeding in our lives or experiencing success. So we can say that right leaders said, aim for the moon and land in the stars. That's going to be more successful, that's going to be more satisfying as compared to setting up smaller goals. That's being suggested by the study as well. So what comes first? Is it happiness? Is it success? Whether happiness determines success or success determines happiness. There have been several studies done in this regard. And to quote, I will be bringing here the studies done by Ecker in 2010, who suggests that 25% of happiness levels are predicted by IQ, whereas 75% of successes are predicted by optimism levels. So, your positive feelings, social support, and ability to see stress as a challenge instead of a threat. So, your IQ has a very less role as compared to the other factors, which are comprising of 75%. The 75%, the way of looking at success depends on your optimism levels, social support, and ability to see stress as a challenge instead of a threat. Again, the derivation of happiness is a complex process and it's relying on several factors, which has been proposed by Simon in 2019. And she says that there are certain factors which are inherent and present within a person, while there are others which are present outside. Again, another study in 2005 suggests that happy people are likely to have fulfilling marriages and relationships, high incomes, superior work performance, community involvement, robust health, and a long life when compared to their less happy peers. So, happiness is leading to success in all these dimensions. Conley in 2010 in his TED talk says that happiness evaporates. So it's not once it's accomplished, it's going to stay forever. For some time, you will be experiencing happiness and then it evaporates. So, how do you sustain it? You can sustain it by creating certain habitats, as discussed by Shah, who says that for perceiving success, for perceiving happiness, you can create a habitat for them to exist. And this is going to depend on the way you are perceiving, the way you are signifying crowd consciousness and complying to it, or the way you are complying to your own thought processes. So, what's your id like? What's your super ego like? Okay, how your mind is really functioning, or how the crowd consciousness is affecting you. So perception itself is very subjective and it comprises of five stages, namely simulation, organization, interpretation, evaluation, memory, and recall. And this perception that we are having of ourselves regarding success, happiness, or any other thing is, of course, in relation to the social framework. It is not in isolation, but is existing in a context in which you live. So many studies have established the fact in both ways happiness to be a determinant of success, and then success, which is following happiness. Studies point out to both these facts. Perhaps it is a very subjective matter of what and how one perceives happiness and success. To what extent your interpretations of the collective mind are affecting you. So the societal expectations are affecting you, the societal dictates are affecting your thought processes regarding success and happiness. And how much emphasis are you really laying on your own self beliefs regarding happiness and success? Perhaps it is then that you will get an answer to what comes first, whether it is happiness or it is success. So, with this, we will be concluding our presentation. I hope you have enjoyed our work as much as we have done it. And thanks again to the organizing team for this wonderful platform which has been provided to present our work. All the best to all the participants who are presenting their work in this international online conference. Thank you again. This is me, Richi Simon, on behalf of myself and Basil Behan and Baby, signing off. And a big thank you to all of you. Thanks once again.